Hello, good morning, everyone. My name is Yamara Angel, and I'm the strategy manager for post-secondary access here at Alabama Possible. Welcome to our Scholarship 101 webinar, where you'll be hearing from our presenters this morning on scholarship tools your students can use when they are looking for scholarships. Before we begin, we would like to take this time to thank our sponsors. Because of their support, we are able to provide these trainings for free. We would also like to thank our partners from the Alabama Commission on Higher Education, the Alabama Community College System, the Alabama State Department of Education, and the Get Educated, which is the Common Black College application. Just some housekeeping notes. Please keep your microphone on mute at all times. Please disable any AI note takers unless accommodations are needed. Please let us know by sending a message. This webinar will be recorded and posted to youtube.com/Alabama Possible within about the next 2 days. Submit your questions in the chat and we will answer them throughout and towards the end of the webinar. And finally, we value everyone's feedback, but it is very important for high school educators who are seeking professional development credit to stay until the very end and answer the final set of poll questions to receive full credit. If you post your college-going efforts on social media, we would like you to tag us at AL Goes to College, and don't forget to use the following hashtags. If May will launch the poll questions. The poll question is, what kind of scholarships do you promote most with your seniors? So I'll give you about a minute to answer those for us.
So it looks like institutional scholarships and local scholarships are tied for 35% each. We appreciate y'all's feedback. We'll definitely talk about a variety of scholarships here today.
So for those who are unfamiliar with the Alabama Goes to College campaign, there are three main components to the campaign. The first is the Cash for College, and the goal is for every graduating senior to complete the FAFSA, which is the free application for federal student aid before they graduate from high school so that they can access federal, state, and institutional aid to pay for their education after high school. The second is the Alabama College Application Week, which is part of a national effort designed to help students, high school seniors, especially first generation and low income students, to navigate the college application process and to apply to at least one post-secondary institution. And then third, the College and Career Decision Day, which celebrates students committing to pursue their education, credentials, pursue a skilled trade, or join the military after high school. So I would like to go ahead and introduce our presenters for today. We have Bethany Hubert, who is the financial aid specialist and head of growth from Going Merry. We have Mariela Regalado from Get Schooled, and then we have Natalie Dunn, the Senior Communications and Programs Officers from the Community Foundation of South Alabama. So I'll go ahead and hand it over to Bethany, who will start our presentation today. Bethany, the floor is yours.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me here today. And it's really awesome to be, especially presenting to Alabama schools. I am myself a Alabama high school graduate. I graduated from Sparkman. I'm also a UA graduate, so we're all tied to that. So it's always exciting for me whenever I get to really help the schools in my community and right where I'm from. So very excited today. I'm going to be sharing my screen, and what I'm going to do is actually walk through specifically Going Merry and our tools that we have. If you've never heard of Going Merry, it is a completely free resource. So it's free to the school, it's free to parents, it's free to counselors, and everything I'm going to show you, it's free. There's no catch, there's no gimmick, there's nothing like that. We started out as a scholarship access platform, but we've really kind of expanded more into like a college education, financial aid education, and then also access. So today I'm going to walk you through scholarships, specifically on the student side, and then I'll show you some of the tools that we have on the counselor side to help see if your students are engaging with the process. I will also say the biggest tip I give to counselors and to students is to always focus on local scholarships because they're the ones you statistically have the best chance of winning, and then institutional scholarships because that's where the bulk of the scholarship dollars are. So love hearing that that's what you guys are doing. It's always good to see that that's kind of the best practice and you guys are following it. All right, so this is a student account on Going Merry. Whenever students first log in, this is kind of their home base on their desktop. They can also log in through their phone and download the app. That app is going to send them notifications of any scholarships that are about to close and also anything that they win and give them updates on things that are going on with their scholarships. Now, today I'm going to hop over first into this profile section, mainly because I just like to give a fair warning. We ask a lot of questions in the profile. Students can answer as much or as little as they want. It is completely up to them. We have the basic stuff like what's your name, your email, your graduation year, what high school are you with, but the rest of it's optional. And the reason why we ask all these questions is because these are the most common eligibility requirements for scholarships. And so we're going to use this information to match students to vetted scholarships because every scholarship on our platform is confirmed to be a legitimate opportunity. And then we can also use that information to autofill applications where the scholarship provider is using our software to manage their applications. Or we can even turn on auto apply. And in that case, if the application could be completed entirely with the profile, it will mean that the student doesn't have to do anything. It'll submit in the background for them and they'll just get a notification that it's done. Now, the cool thing about Going Merry is your school doesn't need any kind of contract to use it. It's open access, so it's open to anybody who wants to go to college. And it's also something they can use as young as 13 years old, all the way through their college education. So it's a great resource to come back to for students that, like, after they graduate, they get to freshman year and they realize they need more money. Now, the way that you get the data from them is they actually decide to link themselves to your school. So they can come in here and say add school, and they can search for their high school as well as any organizations that they're with. If they're also dual enrolled at a college, they can add that here. And then anyone who is registered at those organizations can also see and support that student, get their insights and coach them through the process, which is really great. But again, there's a lot of information in this profile. I won't go into all of it. We even capture FAFSA completion data. If that's something you're curious about, we'll ask them, did you complete the FAFSA? If not, if you did, what's your student aid index? Can you upload proof so your counselor has it? All that kind of good stuff. And then that talks over into your counselor account too. But there's a lot of good stuff in here. And this is kind of the base where, we encourage students to take the 5 to 10 minutes to set up their profile, because once they do that, when they go to browse scholarships, this list of scholarships is tailored to them. There are thousands and thousands and thousands of scholarships in our database, and students aren't eligible for all of them. And so we want them to focus on the opportunities that are coming up due, and the opportunities that are local, and also those opportunities that are relevant to them, and focus on the things that they can, reasonably apply for. Now on here, you'll see these different cards. The way this works is we tell them the award amount, the number of recipients, the deadline, if they've started it the last time that they interacted with the application, and if they haven't, how long it's taking students on average to complete the application. So really kind of tells them what's going on with this application. They can also see things like a 95% match, which means this scholarship provider has a unique requirement not captured in our profile. One I saw the other day was you must be a fan of Sabrina Carpenter. So we're not asking that in a student's profile. So we can't match them to it, but the student can be confident that everything else that's asked in their profile they do qualify for. They can also click in here, see all the information that's going to be required of them, all the essay questions. They can double check those eligibility requirements, and they can see that miscellaneous requirement and all that good stuff. In this case, this is a scholarship that Going Merry doesn't host. So we just want to make sure students are getting to the right place. And the reason why we do this is because only 40% of scholarships can even be Googled. And so making sure students are finding the right applications, that they're easy to access is really, really important, even if that provider is not working with us directly. And so in this case, the student says start application, and they get sent to the Jack Kent Cook website. The other type of application we would have on Going Merry is what we call a direct apply scholarship. And that means that the scholarship provider works with us, uses our software, and the student would apply directly on Going Merry. In this case, this is actually our scholarship that we're sponsoring. It's the Dream Big Scholarship, by the way. Share it with your students. It's open to 9th through 12th grade students, which is awesome. But they can, again, see all the information that's required of them. And then when they press start application or resume application, they're going to be taken to this form where they can see all the information pulled in from their profile. So you can see how this could save them a ton of time in the case where there's a lot of questions asked. They can then answer their short answers, their essay questions, any multiple choice questions, anything like that, and then press submit. And what we find is that students are more likely to submit these types of applications because it's so much faster. They're not having to type in their name and their date of birth and their address 100 times, and it really speeds up that process. Now, the other thing in this Browse Scholarship section is we also call out the awards that the student was matched to. In this case, about $9 million worth of opportunities they could be considered for. We also sort by what we call magic. And so this uses the logic of your best matches, next upcoming deadlines, top interested awards from other students, those types of things. And we sort those to the top. Now, I always recommend students start with deadline because you don't want to miss out on something that's due tomorrow just because you're not paying attention to it. So they can always sort those to the top and double check those opportunities. The other thing about deadline is if the scholarship provider isn't accepting awards right now, they're not accepting those applications, it's not going to show up in their list because a scholarship that opens up in May isn't relevant to a student in November. So why are we showing it to them? That's why we don't do it. Students can also search, of course, if they don't fill out their profile, they'll be using this much more. They fill out their profile, I find they use it a lot less. They can use common terms like no essay scholarship, or they can search for a name of a scholarship specifically to find it. And if they turn on any filters, which are over here, they can either turn on scholarships offered exclusively by your school or scholarships offered only to students within Alabama, which is a really great resource too, as well as other common interests that students have. Like I want them to be need-based scholarships, or I'm only interested in scholarships for minorities. They can go ahead and do that and filter out the list even further. Now, the last thing I'll show you in here is under your scholarships. This helps students track their applications so you can see what they have saved, in progress, submitted, and their results. By the way, we also send you this data into your inbox. So if you're curious about what your students are doing, it'll come over to you in a CSV file, which is awesome. But the great thing about this, especially with results, is if the scholarship provider works with us, we actually require them to be extra transparent with students. So they have to report, we're accepting applications, we are reviewing applications, you were selected or you were not selected. And that closes the loop for all students, and it really creates a more positive environment for them. One of the biggest complaints we hear from students is, I feel like I'm getting ghosted, I'm not hearing back. And this is one way that we can make sure students are always in the loop and more informed. So any scholarship managed by our software, they can see that. And if it's one that's not, they can also come in here and change the status and track that information as well. So it helps them, again, stay on top of it and stay organized. Now, I'm going to actually hop over into a counselor account really quickly to show you what that looks like, because the student account talks to the counselor account, and there's quite a lot in here. For the sake of time, I can't go into our local scholarship software, but just know that we do have that available. It allows you to manage your local scholarships, as well as if you have any organizations like Rotary clubs or anything, they can ask us. It's completely free to use, and it turns that application into that digital application for the student. But if you have a provider that wants paper, they can download those applications either in CSV files or PDFs and get them printed out or analyze them another way. But there's also a way to review those applications, which is really great. So if you're interested in that, just let us know and we can help out. It's again, totally free to use. Inside of this, though, the counselor account, we've got resources over here on the right-hand side. These are the most common ones being accessed right now by counselors. So we've got like the flyer for the top 6 scholarship sites that are out there. So just know that's always there. We also have the way for you to invite your students. Like I said, Going Merry doesn't require a contract or anything for your school to be able to share it with your students. They can access it on their own. But we do give you different pathways to share Going Merry with your students, whether that's Google Classroom. We have email templates that are pre-built. We've got invite links that you can use. And we also have the ability for you to upload a student list. So if you want to invite your students, it's pretty easy. Now, again, in this counselor account, there's a lot of stuff in here for you, like our counselor resources. We've got lesson plans, homework assignments, flyers. We've got like conversation starters, like 10 questions to ask your parents before you borrow for college. There's lots of really great stuff in there. But today I'm just going to go again up into this scholarship section, because under Track Student Scholarship Stats, this is where you can see your student engagement with national scholarships. You can see how many they have in draft mode, how many are submitted. I have a lot of counselors that actually use this to create like school-wide competitions, and they'll say the first student to submit 10 scholarships gets, a $5 Starbucks gift card, and it really helps energize students and keep them engaged. You can also upload transcripts and letters of recommendation if you'd like to here, and filter this list however you'd like. By default, every counselor at the school can see all students, but we know that sometimes you have an alpha caseload or a grade level caseload, so you can filter that way or also search by a student. You can also browse scholarships, and this is going to show you the entire active library of scholarships on Going Merry. Again, active meaning that the scholarship provider is currently accepting applications. But with that, you can kind of flag them and bookmark them to add them to a scholarship list. And you can make as many lists as you want, by the way. And the cool thing about this is if you've got a student that's coming to you and that really wants that hands-on help, you can make a custom list for them and then share it with them via email, Messenger, WhatsApp, a custom link, or a CSV file. By the way, this is a great way to share scholarships on social media because it creates one link for your students to click on and it takes them like 10 or 15 scholarships. So it's super, super efficient. That's the way I share scholarships on our social media because we have an Instagram and a TikTok for students to follow. The other thing that's down here is the ability to add it to your school page. I'm actually going to come over here to the menu to show you where that is because we have a widget that allows you to embed Going Merry directly into your school site. It pre-builds the code for you, so you can just give it to your website administrator or your IT team, and then they can embed this widget that is live. It keeps up-to-date scholarships on the list. It's something students can interact with and read the different opportunities. And it keeps a few different things there. If you've got local scholarships, they'll be there. Anything you put on your scholarship list, those will also be there. As well as if we see a lot of your students are matching to a specific opportunity, we'll put it on there automatically. And again, this is automatically updated. If the deadline passes, it rolls off. If if it comes online, then it'll show it to students and they can interact with it, read all the information about it, and then click onto it. You can also customize this to your school colors if you're interested. Now, that's everything I'm going to show you today, but just again, there's a lot in there. I will also say the scholarship provider portal is really great for managing your local scholarships. So if we have questions about that, I'm always happy to do a one-on-one walkthrough about showing you how this works. Lots of really great data and ways to manage these local scholarships as well and make it a lot easier for you. Okay, I'm going to pause. Any questions?
There is one in the chat, and it's is there a quick reference guide or video to share with students?
We can get you one. What I'll do is drop my email in the chat if that's okay. And I can make sure to share that with you. We have that available, recorded on like a Loom, that'll walk the students through it. We can also get you what we call a student sandbox account. So if it's helpful for you to be able to walk your students through it and talk with them live in a school setting, we can give you that. That way you're not creating a personal account as well. Is there a way to add multiple schools as a career coach? Absolutely. So you just have to let us know. By default, a Going Merry counselor account is only linked to one school, but we do have the option to have a district level account, which just gives you kind of like the high level overview of like how many students are using this, how many scholarships have they submitted, how many FAFSA submissions are there. And then we also have this option for a multi-school counselor account, but you just have to let us know and we'll get it set up. And then you get this toggle to switch between the different accounts so you can see each school at that like really personal level and support those students. What website do we visit to create a counselor account or a student account? You would just come to goingmerry.com. I can also just grab a link for you. To switch between, I need to make a student account, a parent account, or a counselor account. You just toggle between these. For you guys, I'll just grab the counselor link. And again, it's completely free to use. Your account may be automatically verified. If we already know that your email exists and that you're a counselor at a school, it gets auto-verified and you get ready to set up your password. If you go into what it's called like manual approval, our team just makes sure that you're actually a counselor at that school. So like you upload a badge, a business card, a link to your school's website so we can see that you're actually an employee there, that type of thing, just to make sure you're legitimately able to access this information about students.
Thank
Okay.
you. I don't see any more questions in the chat. We will be following up with these links in the follow-up email. And I'll do that. So, Mariella is our next presenter. So the floor is yours.
Awesome. Okay, I'm gonna share my screen. This is always like the awkward part of the presentation where I'm gonna be like, do you guys see this? Let's see, start from beginning. Okay, there we go. Can you see that? Okay, perfect. Super excited to be here. Usually my colleague Miranda Ryan is our education person and does the outreach, but she had a different workshop, but we love Alabama Possible and working with different counselors. And so I stepped in to do this presentation. So I am one of the program managers for college and first jobs. And so for Get Schooled, I'm going to go through some of our scholarship resources. But our biggest benefit for students is really like our advising model, specifically like digital advising. And so I'm going to go through what are the free resources we have for students, particularly around scholarships. And so if you're not familiar with Get Schooled, already. Our goal is to have free digital tools for students to use. And so right now we have mobile first web content. We have a library of video content as well as tutorials, and I'll show you those in a second. And then we also have a thriving social media presence, because if you want to reach the students and you want to speak their language, a lot of the times they might not open an email, but they will interact with something they see on TikTok or on Instagram. And so our goal is really to make that content that they're seeing very youth informed articles, videos, and social media content. And so with that digital support, I want to angle it with, once a student finds a scholarship, our next step is to advise them in that, right? Whether it's showing them how do they take their personal statement or their college essay, and how do you take that and adapt it for a scholarship? Or if there's a specific question in the scholarship and you're not sure how to start your essay for it, or if there's specific questions in the scholarship that require help for you to create it, that's where we can come in and offer support for those students, because we have a free resume review and we also have a free essay review. And so in addition to our scholarship finder, which is the tool that I'm going to talk about in momentarily, we also do advising, where if a student needed help reviewing or getting feedback for their scholarship essay, we have a team of contractors that are college counselors that work in different universities, and they are hired to review resumes and college application and scholarship essays. And we provide those reviews within 7 to 10 days. And we give that personalized support, and students are able to text us to ask us for the status of their essay, or if they have a question or a follow-up. And so we really want students to understand like the different steps that require them, that are required of them once they apply to a scholarship, right? And so really breaking down once you find that scholarship and once you see one, what comes next, right? And so that's really the part that we like advising them on. And so it's very easy for students to kind of join our community. They can text hello to 3355 77, and once they do that, someone's automatically going to respond. Or the student can visit getschool.com. And so the majority of the resources there are able to navigate and access them without an account. And so we try to do a lot of low barrier entry for our students. And so they aren't pushed automatically to create a profile or an account in order to get these resources. Similarly, for educators, when you go on our website, all of these resources, we try to not put any barriers for folks to access them. And so to support with the scholarship search and application piece, we have a large number of articles and videos, and I'll show you some real examples in a second. And the videos are not me talking to you, it's actual students from our Youth Advisory Council, or students that used Get Schooled in high school and are now hired as college students. And so a lot of the information is from their point of view. And so in this particular video, this young lady is talking about unlocking like the secrets to finding scholarships. And so if you have a student that's more of like a visual learner, or a student who will sit down and listen to like a 2-minute video, our YouTube content library has all of that information. And it's also really good for educators that have to teach a homeroom class or have to teach a college and career class. We have a lot of information for educators if you wanted to do a scholarship workshop, or if you wanted to do a 3-part series for your students, you're able to go in there and look at some of our content, like frequently asked questions when applying to scholarships, how to find scholarships. And then we also have a scholarship list email where students can sign up, and educators as well, to get those curated lists. And then, of course, we have our essay review. I'm going to try to switch gears here and see if it lets me do it. Let's see. All right. And so here is the Get Schooled YouTube content library that I was mentioning. And so there's a number of different things here, from how to manage your money to different ways on how do you write a scholarship essay based on the skills that you have. Do you know what your durable skills are? How to start it, and then like all of these different kind of advice from students that are either in college or are currently in high school. And so we really want students to understand kind of what are their options, but pushing them for like the next step, right? Because I always hate when students see a scholarship and they have every intention of applying, but in their heads they haven't like figured out the steps where it's like, okay, so if the deadline is here, I have to write the essay here, then I have to create the profile, then I have to, have at least 2 people review my essay, and then, does my counselor want to review my application before I submit it, or is this just something that I'm doing on my own? And so we really pride ourselves in the advising piece because we want the students to be confident in applying to college. The next thing is the scholarship finder tool, which we'll get into a little bit later. But this is the articles. And so if you have a student that would read it, or if you have a newsletter or things that you're sending out to students, we have a lot of articles that are updated frequently. This is one of our most popular ones, that it's answering the common questions that students have when applying to scholarships. When should I start applying? Do I apply before or after I'm accepted? Where should I look? And things like that. And for students that speak Spanish, a lot of our articles are also available in Spanish. And so right here, you can see a notice that says, lee este artículo en español aquí. And so once the student clicks on that, it'll take them to the exact article, but the information is available in Spanish. And so if any of you have students that Spanish is like their strongest language, reading or listening, the majority of our content is also available in Spanish as well. The other thing that we push for is the organization piece, right? Trying to give them those skills that they'll need once they're in college, and getting them used to that information and used to organization and time management being a skill for them. And so they're able to download different Google Sheets and Google Docs to help them stay organized. So for example, right here, this is our scholarship application requirements tracker. And so students can make a copy of the Google Sheet and have their own version of it. And counselors love this because they're able to put like, did you start it? Did you submit it? Did you not submit it? And then for students, they're able to do their own research. And so if they found out that, this particular scholarship, they need to have a 2.5 GPA and the deadline is here, and how much money. So for a lot of early college and career awareness workshops, specifically with like sophomores and juniors, a lot of students like this Google Doc because they might not be eligible because they're not seniors yet, but they can keep kind of historically what are some scholarships that they will potentially be eligible for, and they can keep adding to this document. And as you can see, they don't have to make a profile. They can if they would like, but it's not mandatory in order to download this information, because again, we try to remove as many of those barriers as possible. And so I'm going to go back to my presentation. And so that's number one. To stay organized, we have an entire collection of different Google Sheets that they can add to their accounts. And then the scholarship emails that I mentioned, it's just an easy student sign up. One of the things that we pride ourselves in is that we don't sell or use student data outside of our scholarship finder. A lot of students, when we were launching our scholarship finder tool, the feedback that they gave us is that a lot of times when they sign up for on a scholarship website, their inbox gets like inundated with daily emails, and sometimes 2 to 3 emails, per day. And so we really took that into account. And so we have an easy student sign up when they want to join our scholarship list. You'll see the example on the left-hand side. The students only get 2 to 3 emails a month, and it's curated scholarship list. So it'll be scholarship list for student athletes, scholarship list, it's February, so scholarship list that are for students that are going to HBCUs, or, so it's different resources for specific audiences. In addition to our Get Schooled scholarship, throughout the year, we also have our own scholarships, especially in areas where we help students like Alabama, like Oregon, and Washington. The other piece is for educators as well. We do have an educator network where educators can log in and be able to get access to the information as well. Our counselor newsletter, again, we do not inundate you with information, because I know the last thing you need as a counselor is a million emails a day. We send out one email a month. And so what we send out to educators is something called a research map. And so a research map is directly correlated with what students are doing that month in school. And so we send it out at the beginning of the month. And so if in October you're focused on financial aid applications and scholarships, the research map has different lesson plans, different documents, and different content and videos that you can use, whether in class or that you can forward to students. And we also send out thumbnails and JPEGs if you would like to print out posters and flyers as reminders for students. And so I'm gonna switch again so I can show you our scholarship finder tool. Let's see, Google, you're gonna let me get out of here. All right, here we go. And so this is our scholarship finder. So it is, as you can see, as soon as you go to getschools.com, you're gonna go into resources and find scholarships. And so if students have an account, they are able to sign in. But whether they have an account with us or not, they will be able to look through this information. And so one of the things that I want to show you is our search toolbar. So because we're in Alabama, I'm going to type in Alabama to show you what comes up. But we have different categories that we feature. And so right now we have the scholarship for young women, big money scholarships, easy scholarships, which is usually scholarships that don't require an essay. And then we have scholarships for undocumented students. And so in the tool, very easy, you can type in either your state or your city. Like so, I'm going to put in Alabama. And so here you'll see it has the different Alabama student assistance programs. And so you can look through these and see what are the different things that are available. And we want students to be able to play with this tool, but also come back because periodically we do update the featured scholarships. And the biggest way students find our scholarship finder is through social media, because we'll put up a reel or a carousel on a scholarship, and then it links it to the website. And it's no mess, no frills. As soon as they click apply now, it takes them to the scholarship directly where they can apply. And so our goal was to make it as easy as possible for students to apply to scholarships. And so we give them the information, and once they click apply now, it directly takes them to where they need to go to apply for that specific scholarship. And so with all of that, we continue to help students all year round. And so we do get students during the summer that already send us text messages and emails about starting their scholarship search. And so if there's any room for collaboration, or if you have any questions as an educator, please let us know. We're a small but mighty team, and we're always open for any asks that educators have. So, and thank you, Xiomara and Alabama Possible, for having us today. And I'll make sure that you guys get all of this information, all the links, and the presentation as well, so you can access it later on.
Thank you, Mariela. And then I will pass it over to Natalie. Let me share my screen again. Here you go. Natalie, the floor is yours.
Hi, I'm Natalie Dunn. I'm the Senior Communications and Programs Officer at the Community Foundation of South Alabama. If you aren't familiar with the Community Foundation, we're a nonprofit charitable organization. We work with donors to set up charitable funds. So they come to us with a philanthropic desire, and they set up funds. We manage those funds, we invest those funds so they can live on in perpetuity, and that there'll always be money going out to those causes or those communities that donors specify. Currently, we manage a little over 500 funds. And since our inception almost 50 years ago, we have awarded over $98 million in grants and scholarships. So with that, if you go to the next slide, we, like I said, donors come to us to set up scholarships. they pick those criteria that they want. They select either if it's going to be needs-based, merit-based. They might set up a scholarship based on a specific geographic location. And then they can decide if they want the university or college to select the recipient. They can create a selection committee that oversees the applications, or they can choose to have our staff review applications. So today I'm going to focus on those that our staff reviews, and there's about 11 of those. Last year, we awarded $150,000 in scholarships alone. Usually it's graduating high school seniors, but there are some scholarships that we offer specifically to current college and university students. We always send the money directly to the educational institution. We don't typically send money directly to students. You go to the next slide, please. And our application process is super easy. It's all housed online. We have an online portal. They just have to sign up for the portal. Applications typically open in January. And again, all the scholarships will be listed in there. They can apply for multiple scholarships. And before they even start the scholarship, they'll be able to see the criteria, so they'll know if they're eligible for those certain scholarships. Again, some of them are very, very specific. Some of them say you can only be from Clark County, Alabama. Some say you can only pursue a career field in education. So we always encourage students to make sure that they're reading those criteria before they start the application. And then if you'll see on the next slide, all of our scholarships applications, they require an essay, a resume, and then at least 2 recommendations. So everything is very streamlined through that online portal. The recommendation part is really cool. The student will just need to enter in the email address of the person they want to select as a recommender, and the portal sends an email to the recommender. Once they open that email, they'll get a form, and it'll ask them very simple, basic questions about the student, like their relationship to the student, how long they've known them, if they're a coach, mentor, teacher, something like that. And then there's like a section for them to provide a few words about the student. But once they hit submit, that recommendation is automatically uploaded to the student's application. And we really stress the importance of students following up with their recommenders before and during the open application process, just to make sure that the recommender received the email and that they filled it out and everything, because the application is considered incomplete until the recommendation has been uploaded. But again, it's very easy. It's all within the portal, all a streamlined process. And then on the next slide, you'll see, like I said, we have in that portal about 11 scholarships, and some of them are very particular and niche in regards to the criteria. But I did want to highlight our Porch Creek Indian Community Scholarship. This is our broadest, I would say, criteria-based scholarship. Community service is a plus on this scholarship. We're looking if the student has completed community service hours, completed community service projects. There's a 3.0 minimum GPA requirement, and then basically the only other requirement is that they're a resident of the state of Alabama. So this is our broadest category, our criteria scholarship. Many students are eligible for this based on that criteria. And it's actually one of the largest scholarships we give out each year. Last year, we were able to award 4 awards just in this one scholarship alone, each at $14,000 a piece. So one of our biggest scholarships, but we always encourage any student to apply for this because most of our students in our high schools, they are doing those community service projects and whatnot. So it's a really, really easy scholarship for them to apply to. And then on the next slide, just for how educators can help encourage early preparation, we give about 3 months for those scholarship applications to be completed. Encourage them to follow up with their recommenders, of course, because like I said, the application won't be considered complete until those recommendations are received. Make sure they're answering the essay prompts concisely, and then make sure that their resumes are clean and concise and professional looking. Our evaluators really do take heed to those resumes, make sure they're listing their leadership roles and extracurriculars, if they play sports, if they have jobs, things like that. Resumes are pretty big on those applications. And then we have a great FAQ page on our website about our scholarships. And then, of course, they can always email me. I'm happy to answer any questions about our scholarships. As far as timeline goes, on the next slide, you'll see that our applications, they open January 5th, 2026, and then close April 30th. So we give about 3 months for those applications to be submitted. We've continuously extended the deadline over the years because we just want students to apply. Unfortunately, we've had years where some scholarships aren't awarded because there were no applicants. We've had years where a student got the scholarship because they were the only applicant. So really push for your students to check on these scholarships and apply for them no matter what, you know. And then regardless of if they receive the scholarship or not, we will send notifications by July 1. And then, so they'll be notified regardless. We won't ghost them. And then on the next slide, you'll just find our contact information. Encourage them to follow us on social media. We post scholarship, the openings, the deadlines. We have a great newsletter that they can sign up for on our website. And that we send out simple emails, same thing, the announcements of dates and tips on how to apply for our scholarships, best practices for our specific scholarships. And then you'll see my email too. Feel free to always share my email. I'm happy to speak with students. If any questions, if they have questions about the portal, logging in or anything, or setting up their profile or anything like that, I'm always available to chat.
So I know, let's see if we have any questions so far. So one of the things that many students don't realize are that state grants are available for them. And one of them is the Alabama Student Assistance Program. And it is a need-based state grant. It kind of ranges from about $300 to $5,000 per year. It is available to nearly 80 Alabama institutions. And just this is another reason to push the FAFSA, which is the free application for federal student aid. They just need to apply for it to qualify for this particular grant. And then there is the Alabama Student Grant Program, which is not need-based. They do have to apply to any of the independent institutions that are listed in the following slide. The grant amounts do vary through years. The application can be found at ake.edu or at the institution's financial aid office. I know that the applications for this particular grant open in December. So here's a list of the institutions that participate in these grants. And then I just want to give a moment to see if anyone has any questions. Probably give like a minute or so to type in your questions for any of our presenters today. We had a lot of great information today, so we will follow up in the email with a lot of these resources so that you can have handy and contact information for our presenters today. Just give a couple more seconds to see if we have any questions. And it says, can you show the last slide? Of course. There you go. Save the dates for our upcoming webinars. We do have about 3 Cash for College webinars coming up. On Tuesday, November 18th, we have our Cash for College Advanced FAFSA beginning at 10:30 a.m. We have on Wednesday, November 19th, we have our Experienced Advanced FAFSA webinar at 10:30. And then we have on Wednesday, December 3rd, the Cash for College Navigating Financial Aid for Immigrant Families at 10:30 a.m. You can always register at alabamapossible.org/events.
And we heard back that the new cycle application would be opening sometime in December. Was that
Yeah.
right?
Yes, so when I
Okay.
called, they told me that for the 26 to 27 school year, it'll be open in December, and they'll fill
Okay.
out the application through the financial aid office, or you can find the application on ACHE website.
And then if you would like to look at the previous cycles application, you can see there all of the requirements, the eligibility requirements for that particular grant.
So just a reminder, our help desk line is open to you, students, and family. Just call or text us at 334-316-6155, weekdays from 9 to 5. And as always, stay connected with us through our website, alabamagoestocollege.org, by calling or texting us at 334-316-6155, or you can email us at algoestocollege@alabamapossible.org. We just want to thank you, all our presenters today. Thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you soon in the upcoming webinars.